This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. The setup that we got, and then we got to change out a bunch of stuff. See if it runs good. We might as well go ahead and clean the carburetor thoroughly while we're back there as well. So we'll go ahead and get started on this repair, and hopefully we can get this customer back up and cutting for more than 10 minutes at a time before it starts cutting out on them. So I've already started diving into this. I'm in the process of taking fuel lines and stuff off. Now the reason these fuel lines seem okay, but this mower's been sitting outside and you can kind of see where they are starting to get a little bit brittle, and you never know. If you look inside, you can sometimes see when they are starting to collapse. These, I've blown through all of them though, and they don't seem to be collapsing, which I was expecting them not to be blocked. I do have one more that I need to get off at the tank itself, but I've got to pull the tank off, which I think is a couple of 10 millimeters right there, and I got a couple other areas I need to take off so that we can get this tank out, which looks like I got a couple of bolts right there that can get it off. But so we're going to replace that regardless. I'm going to pull the carb off and clean up in the ultrasonic cleaner instead of just the generic cleaning I did on site with the tool, you know, the limited amount of tools and resources that I have, not being in my garage. And then we'll see if that's going to fix it. I already have a carburetor on the way just because I will probably be seeing engines like this a little bit more frequently that may need a carburetor. So I'm just going to have one in the stock ready to go. But because this one's a little bit involved to take off, because you have to take the throttle linkage and all that stuff away, and then all this out of the top here. But I'm thinking that this is our issue. But we're getting new fuel lines, new carburetor, new everything on this, because if I fix the carburetor, then those lines start breaking down and get junk in the carburetor again, and then we're back at basically where we were before, most likely. So I'm gonna pull off these, I think it's these two bolts, this top bolt right here, and if there are any other bolts, I'll show it to you. Get the remainder fuel line off. Basically, I'm just gonna match this fuel line up and put it on, get my new fuel line, put it on, and put a new fuel pump on as well, because it could be the fuel pump getting weak after a certain amount of time too. Ultrasonic carb clean, I'll show y'all how to take the carb off here in a second. Alright guys, so I got the gas tank on its side. I needed to get, because there was a decent amount of gas in it, and it's good gas. At least everything I could tell it's a good gas, and I didn't want it to go out. So I think what you could do is you could probably get by with taking out a couple of screws, these screws right here that will attach up under here to the little plastic fender, and then the gas tank just rests down in there. I took the back bracket off as well because it was relatively easy to get to. Wanted to get this fuel line off, and I'm going to do my best to show you all here. I'm going to blow into it. So I got the fuel shutoff switch on, and I can barely blow into it, just barely. And it doesn't feel like anything's coming out, so I'm going to pull off this. I think I have some debris in the shutoff switch. Which, yeah, look at there. So that's probably what's gonna be our problem. You see that? bunch of junk. If I can get this camera to focus. Probably not going to. Cell phone camera. There's a bunch of just junk in there. Let me see if I can blow it out. So there we are. I mean, you can kind of see it in the residual of this fuel line too. So a little bit of grass buildup is all it was, but I don't know if you can see inside, but these fuel lines are actually starting to deteriorate a little bit too. So they needed to be taken off and replaced. So what we're going to do, fuel lines, fuel shut off. Given this, I feel like the fuel pump is good, so I'm going to probably pop that back on. And the fuel filter is going to get replaced as well. So I'm going to, let's see, this is maybe good for future use. I'm not using it on this though. No, we're just going to chuck it because I can't get that clean. So I'm just going to go to town, and I feel like the carburetor is probably good, but what I'm going to do is put the put the fuel filter on the other side of the shutoff switch, so hopefully the shutoff switch doesn't get clogged again like it did this time, causing these issues. And basically what I'm going to do is just go get over here, match up the fuel line and everything, and size-wise, throw on a filter, throw on a shutoff switch, and we should be good to go here fairly soon. The fuel line run, I may change up the fuel line run a little bit and do a long run between the tank, run it over here, and then put a fuel filter and a shutoff right here beside each other, so that it's easily accessible. Or I may put the fuel filter right here and put the shutoff right here. So I'm going to work on that and just get all the stuff back together. I feel better about the carburetor now that I have found that blockage in the fuel system, that that was not my issue, that the blockage in the fuel system was. It is free flowing out of the tank, so I'm not worried about that. And then hopefully, I would love to have this thing done today, because I need to go to the area tomorrow where this mower needs to get dropped off, and it'll save me a trip later on down the line. So let me see what I can do here. Alright, so we're in the process of putting everything back together. We've got fuel lines, which I need to button up a little bit here. But we got fuel lines, fuel filter, and all the other good stuff. Shutoff switch, there's the filter. I put those kind of right here, put the filter before the switch so that junk doesn't get clogged in it. The junk gets clogged in the fuel filter instead. And I put the fuel filter on the wrong way, so let me change that. I will change that. And then the line to the tank. So all I got to do is put everything back together now. Again, it's just a couple of plastic screws to mount it to the bracket. And you mount the bracket back on. If you decided to take the bracket off like I did, this piece right here actually for the hydrostatic disengagement is part of that assembly. So we'll put that on. You can just kind of reference the other side as to how to put that back on if you need to. I need to get this fuel filter swapped out or turned back around because I put it on the wrong way. But that's the fuel line set up for this. Considering that the shutoff switch was blocked and that line at the beginning was blocked, probably what was happening was it was sucking up just enough fuel to keep it running for about 10 minutes or so, and then it would deplete the fuel supply throughout the system and prevent it from staying running. That's what it sounded like. So I'm gonna swap that, put all this stuff back on, and then I guess I'll probably make sure the deck's level so it doesn't scout my yard and things like that. And we'll see if this thing will work for us and not have any other issues. As long as I can get about 15 minutes out of it without it doing anything, I feel confident that it is going to be fixed. Hopefully this is just an easy one. Hopefully. All right, we got it all back together now. I do need to put a couple of zip ties in a couple of places just to keep these fuel lines a little bit tidy. But I think everything else is good to go. That's just a little bit of WD-40 because I had to swap that fuel filter around. But I think we're all good now. So let's see if I can prime this thing up, crank it. The real test though is going out and cutting some grass with it. So I'll see if I can show y'all some grass cutting action with this. The safeties on this thing are just terrible. So this arm is like spring loaded, and I don't know if this is the way it's supposed to be by design, but you literally have to hold this arm out to crank it. And I don't know why it's like that, because this side's not. And I don't see this being bent or anything, so it's almost like, I'm sure it's a safety thing. So I don't get a lot of these in, so I don't really know for sure, but I think I had one other at one time that was similar to that and had the same issue. So let me see if this thing will start and run and pump fuel. Excellent. So I let it run continuously. After I cut with it that y'all saw in the time lapse, I let it run for another almost half hour on full throttle back here. I'm sure that's never the most ideal thing to do, but we needed to make sure that everything ran good. See if it starts back up for us. Choke it. Skipped or anything on any of this, so that's excellent. So it looks like our fuel filter is good. From what I can tell, our fuel filter is good. Fuel shutoff switch, like I said, I put the shutoff switch up here because it was over here before the filter, and so I've seen it on more than one occasion to where that gets clogged up if you're not careful. And I've put the rear shield back on. I don't know if I saw or showed y'all that in the previous clip too. I had it off. So kind of unfortunate that I didn't have fuel lines and I couldn't do that mobile repair. I could have just done this at their house, but again, that would have been some extra time testing, and I already have to do another delivery tomorrow in the same area, and so throwing it on the trailer and sending it over is not really much of an issue. So I'm glad that it was that easy. I was thinking originally at the start of this video that I was going to have to put a carburetor on it based on prior experience earlier this week. So really happy that I don't. And this mower should be cruising right along. Y'all know these Kawasaki's will run and run and run. I don't know how many hours are on this machine because the hour meter has been compromised or something. I can't really read it. And it just, the digital display is gone. So, but either way, I believe this is all done and it's a fairly easy fix. And as y'all also saw in that mowing video, I'm not the best at driving zero turns in terms of sliding the tires and stuff, but also my yard is not very suitable for it either. That's really my only flat area in the front, and in the back I have a lot of tight turns and stuff, and so the lawn tractor is the way to go on my lawn. But I needed to test this out, especially with the blades running. I got a good 10 to 15 minutes with the blades running, which is more than I got before I repaired it, and then I never even cut it off. I brought it back here, let it run full throttle for about 30 to 40 minutes, never skipped a beat. So that makes me believe, as well as what I saw visually with the blocked fuel shutoff, that's what our issue was, that it was still allowing a little bit of gas to get through, but then I guess I wonder if the gas helped expand the trash or whatever in the carburetor or in the fuel shutoff switch, and it eventually starved itself for fuel. It's kind of weird though, because it would run consistently for like 10 minutes or so. Like you'd let it sit for a few minutes, it'd run for another 10 minutes. So it was passing enough fuel in order for it to stay supplied for at least a little bit of time, right? But I think we got it solved for good. So I'm going to get it on the trailer. It's going to be sent back to the customer tomorrow. Hopefully they'll be happy, and hopefully, I mean, worst case, it's a carb, but I don't think that it is. I think it was that fuel line. I don't think it was a compound issue. So hopefully not. Let me know what y'all have seen on these Kawasaki's, if it's something that that I may have missed or something along those lines. But it looks like somebody had maybe been in that fuel system before, because they usually don't put fuel shutoffs on them like that from the factory. And it doesn't look like it had the original fuel filter on it either. So it looked like it had been done once or twice, but just putting that fuel shutoff before the filter allows debris and stuff to get clogged in it, and can eventually clog things up. So thanks again for watching this, what was a rather quick repair video, which is always good, right? And we'll get this back on to the customer, and so that they can cut their grass and cut it for more than 10 minutes without the mower shutting off, hopefully. So thanks again for watching this video. Hopefully you found it helpful, and maybe it's your issue as well. And I'll see y'all on the next one.